We're SolvGE. My name is Larissa and I'm the product designer in SolvGE. And this is my colleague Jamie.
I'm the Chief Technology Officer currently at SolvGE and I'm mostly involved with the technology.
In SolvGE, we're developing the world's first hydrogen peroxide printer. And today we're going to introduce you to our researcher-grade hydrogen peroxide printer. But before we get into that, Jamie will explain a little bit about SolvGE and our technology.
Indeed, thank you, Larissa. What we're doing here at SolvGE, firstly, is introducing the world's first hydrogen peroxide printer for the researcher-grade applications, or for the researcher in you. But this is only one of the first steps at SolvGE. At SolvGE, we're a young startup based in the Netherlands. But our goal is actually to get green energy by the hand of hydrogen peroxide to many different applications in society, mobility, household, and any other where energy has to be required. And in order to do so, we are starting on the first step. The first step to produce this chemical by ourselves in a way that we can have it on-site and remotely accessible. This is why we created the hydrogen peroxide printer, and we're starting with the researcher-grade applications first. With this printer, which you might be wondering, well, how does it work? Well, what we do is that we basically upcycle the chemical. Low concentration hydrogen peroxide is really accessible. In fact, it might already be available inside your lab without you even knowing. However, the high concentration hydrogen peroxide, which is normally required for scientific applications or research, is really hard to obtain. And we found this firsthand when we were actually doing research with this chemical ourselves. For this same reason, we came up with a solution: the world's first hydrogen peroxide printer. By putting low concentration hydrogen peroxide inside the printer, we can actually upcycle the chemical to the required concentration which you need for your specific research. In order to do so, this printer takes around 250 milliliters of recommended capacity of low concentration hydrogen peroxide and upcycles it to around 50 milliliters at a concentration maximum of 99.5%. Of course, more volume can be obtained if lower concentration is required for your specific application. And you might be wondering, how do we make this work? Well, at first, we quickly found out that obtaining this chemical was really time-taking. Time, as well as money, was one of the resources important for us on our research. For that, this process at the very beginning took 48 hours. We quickly found out that it was way too much and unacceptable for the research. That's the reason why we optimized it to 24 hours, and further on, we realized that we had to optimize it even more. That's when we came for the hydrogen peroxide printer of only down to 10 hours. And how do we make this work? At the end of the day, this is research and we're dealing with a really high energetic chemical. Well, we made sure that our process was completely passive, meaning no chemicals are introduced into the system, no energy has to be procured, and this makes the process completely safe, such that you only have to worry on what's really important, your research. And that's a reason why we made this printer completely research friendly, such that it allows to have enough flexibility to tailor the specific concentration that you need for the specific science research which you're taking. In order to measure this hydrogen peroxide concentration, we are introducing together with the package a refractometer, such that you can poke and get the hydrogen peroxide while the process is going, and you can measure depending on the concentration that you need. And once actually the chemical is at the required concentration you need, it's time to take it out. Well, in order to do so and to enable enough safety, we have introduced a specific electric pump within the research printer, which runs from 4 AA batteries. This should not have to be replaced even after a couple hundred runs of the printer. And once the chemical is to be extracted, it is recommended to be used on the spot, such that only 10 hours are required to make this happen. You can set it up at night and be ready to use it in the morning. But say that your research actually needs to store the chemical for some reason, then SolvGE is also introducing and coming with a package of a specifically passivated intermediate tank, which comes together with the printer to store the chemical. And what have we accomplished in the end? Well, we have accomplished to have a completely compact and lunchbox-sized hydrogen peroxide printer, which is not only research friendly, but it's flexible enough to allow for different sciences, thus making it a robust system, and as well an affordable solution for the research-grade applications, such that you can have an on-site unlimited supply of hydrogen peroxide at your disposal for the required concentration level that you actually need. And this is all about the technology, but of course safety was also paramount in the design of this hydrogen peroxide printer. For that, I have to hand the word over to Larissa.
Thank you, Jamie. So, safety is one of the most important things in SolvGE. Since we are dealing with a very energetic chemical, we made sure that our system and the materials that we use are very compatible with high concentration hydrogen peroxide. Now, before we start, remember, this is a researcher instrument. So please keep it always in its upright position, place it on a flat and clean environment. And don't forget to wear your lab coats, safety gloves, and safety goggles. Yes. Now, how do we use it? Simple. You simply pour your feedstock of low concentrated hydrogen peroxide into the system. You can use from 10%, but we recommend you to use 30% of concentrated hydrogen peroxide. Pour it with a glass inlet to prevent any spilling. Don't forget to switch on the system, and you see the light will blink indicating that the system is ready to use. Now, as Jamie said, the concentration process could take up to 24 hours to get the highest concentration. But we recommend you to always periodically check it by using a probe, taking some samples, and then check it in the refractometer. Once the required concentration is achieved, you can collect it by simply opening the valve, turning on the motor, and the system will automatically collect it. Once most of the chemicals are out, leave it on for around 2-3 minutes just to make sure that all of the chemicals are out and collected. Once you've collected your chemicals, turn the motor off, close the valve, turn the system off, and you're ready to go. Then you have collected your high concentration of hydrogen peroxide. If you need to store it, please store it in a dry and dark environment, safe from other chemicals. Now, the reason that we are developing this researcher grade, because we see that for researchers, it's very hard to obtain small volumes of high concentrated hydrogen peroxide. And storing it is already very difficult. So that's why we developed this system that you can instantly use it as soon as you collect it. Pretty fascinating, right? I hope that's all very clear, don't you think, Jamie?
I hope so as well. And in the event that was not the case, please feel free to actually contact us and reach us out at info@solvge.com, where we will be responding and answering all your questions, hesitations, and doubts about the hydrogen peroxide printer. Thank you, and looking forward to hearing back from you.